for each service cloud, engagement cloud. Then it's working with the direction the team would like to go.
All right, I'm sharing my screen. This is Renata. Can everybody see it?
Yep.
Great. So Tracy, where would you like to get started?
So I would like to simulate a call just so that they can kind of see an agent's daily routine going through in how they use IED.
Yep, and before we go there, so this is the desktop that has been highly customized. And over here we have some navigation pane add-ins. One is the STARS browser window here, and then we have a contact snapshot up here as well. And STARS, as everyone knows, is their system of record for all contact information. I'm going to log into that browser now. Okay. And then we're in their test site. So I'm going to log in. So if any agents who I'm not going to have done it right.
So this is
any agent who's logged into this was working earlier. It's just CC Manager, right, Tracy?
Try CC agent.
So Renata, this is the homegrown GUI interface to Oracle's billing and revenue management application. Right. This is embedded into Service Cloud just by, or I call it the tab method, which means it's basically a browser embedded in the desktop. It has no real functionality beyond what can be done in that browser. So when you look at the RFP list, in the appendix, there's 3 pages of things that STARS does for them on function. So just remember that STARS and those 3 pages in that appendix are all done in this application. Some of it can be done here. Most of it they have to get out of this and go to the actual GUI interface.
Yep. All right, so now I just logged in
Yeah, I'm recording.
to their BRM/STARS system. And normally the agents have their desktop configured about 70-30, 70% here on the left pane and 30% over here for where the script and the incident will display. And up here we have another customization with actions and upsells for the agent. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to simulate a call. We have a button up here in the media bar, the Verizon agent media bar. You might not be able to see it, but I'm going to pull that up and simulate a call with this particular account number. Click simulate. And what will happen next is that the integrations are checking to see if that particular account is actually known within the console, and it's going to pull up the information based on what's available. Okay? And you should be getting a verified pop-up. I am not seeing it. Go ahead.
Yes? Can I ask a question?
Sorry, it's Dave Lang.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to make a point to the rest of the team. So they do have CTI integration with what they call VAD, which is their Verizon agent something directly or whatever it is. But we do have CTI integration. It was a custom integration that we wrote directly to Verizon rather than package a third-party solution to do that CTI integration. So we're getting information from the network about who that caller is. It goes out, pulls that data into the Service Cloud desktop, like you would see in the CTI integration. So it was more appropriate, given their volumes, it was more appropriate for them to build that and pay for it on a license-based model. So sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No worries. No, this is a joint session, so absolutely anytime. So what we have here now is, let me see if I have the something behind here. Give me just 1 second. Pull this down if I can. Nope. Let's go. No, I don't see anything hidden. So what we have now is someone who has been identified and pulled up in the STAR system. And this is the account for Doug Ballesteros, or Donald Ballesteros, as you can see. And it automatically pulls up the information here for the customer, and also provides a contact snapshot up here, some additional information that stays there with the agent, that provides account number, phone, all this top level information that they can check. They also have additional updates here to check on any vehicles that the customer might own. Okay, and these are all additional customizations that we've completed, with all of the device info that might be in the vehicles. Okay, and they have this particular button. Tracy, what does this one do again?
So that one is their, sorry. So that is the button for their services. So they can drop down and pick the different cars that they have, and then it tells them what packages that they have. Go back to the person real quick for me, if you would. So just kind of a note that the information that you see in this contact snapshot is both from SiriusXM's STAR system as well as data that is stored in Oracle Service Cloud. The account number is going to be actually the contact's login field, which is a standard field in the contacts table. The phone number, the address, email address, and then the rest of the information is actually being pulled in from STARS. So this is all data that's populated from STARS. We don't store this data. This is really just kind of cache data that's brought in. So this allows the agent to kind of have a quick view of all the customer's information at a glance.
Yeah. And as part of the process, we also have this contact verify pop-up that actually allows them to verify that this is the correct contact that's called in and that was identified by the system. And then clicking the verify button will actually move them on the script side here over to a workspace called the contact switcher, like the call context, what is the customer calling about, for the customer to select that. So clicking this will update the context switcher here, and actually I logged into a second browser window here, which I'm going to bring over, so give me just a second. Wow, this is happening here. So there it is.
Yeah,
so now it moved on. Yep, go ahead.
There's no system.
Can you go back to the main script there? Let's go back one.
And then the other one here. Yep. So this is the landing script.
So
that comes up.
Yeah. So just for the rest of the team here, this is workflow, what we call workflow in Service Cloud, where we've designed, and this is the point I was making earlier about, they wanted to control the process that agents use to handle all their interaction types. And so they literally built workflow and scripting, and the combination thereof, terms get a little confused, where you can see, what do we suggest what do you suggest you say? What decision did that customer make? How does that move you through the workflow to the next step? This is all of the implementation that the OCS team did to be able to meet their requirement to have a very controlled environment where every interaction was consistent depending on the particular activity that you wanted to accomplish or transaction that customer wanted to achieve. So this is the full set of workflows that the OCS team built under their guidance on how controlled an environment they wanted.
And the upper right with the actions and upsells, that's Pegasus stuff?
No. That's us.
It's a menu bar in the menu bar, right, Renata? That's part of customization?
Yeah. This is the customization. It's above the menu bar, exactly, here. You'll see this change in just a little bit as we go through the process. So I'm going to pull over. This is before they have verified that the contact that they're speaking with, right?
No.
So after they have verified the contact. Oops, another question?
No. We were just clarifying that PEGA doesn't come into play until the very end of the workflow.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay. So here now we've verified the contact. So as you can see over here, this switched from the landing script over to a workspace. which is called the context switcher workspace. And it allows the agents to see, well, what is the customer calling about, okay? And Tracy, which one would you like to highlight? Which call are we trying to start?
Just do account maintenance as an example for a moment.
Okay, so let's say the customer calls and says, yep, I need to, do something on my account, like make a payment or, I think I already clicked that. Let me go back here. It automatically did it. So they have the options here. These are all script options here. I can do a universal agent flow. I'm not quite sure what that means, but payments, I can do a payment. I can modify the service. I can do general account maintenance, or I can consolidate or merge accounts. Okay, so these are options.
Can you click general account maintenance? I just want them to see how, if you look to the left, the stars will navigate into the ability to update contact information. And then what they
we have what?
to
Yeah, go ahead.
navigate the stars, sorry. So you could, this will allow the agent to update stars with that customer's information.
Yep. If they have any updates in the contact, they would then go into stars over here and make that change and save it. So they have these two open at all times.
So this is great.
Okay.
What are the limitations in
Can
stars?
those folks who are speaking speak a little bit louder because it's very difficult to hear for us on the phone?
Sure, I'll come closer.
Yes, please.
So in the RFP, they wrote an appendix section about all the features that stars or functions that stars does for them. Of those, right, it's my understanding that they have to log out of stars for a lot of them and log into a different pane of glass for stars because of some login limitations. What are they actually able to do in stars as embedded in IAD without having to go out? Besides just changing the information, is there anything else that they can actually do in stars?
They can update all of the contact information, anything that's related to the contact in stars. And also merge accounts, right? Merge radios if necessary.
Right.
Make
Sometimes,
sure I'm understanding the question. They have full access to stars from within this window, so anything they can do in stars, they can do here.
So it was
And
my
remember, stars is more than a presentation of data, right? I mean, Chris, you talked about this a little bit, but stars also has business rules in it that, depending on the radio that you have and its capabilities, it will limit what you can do on a certain account because it knows information about that radio. Chris, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so stars being basically the custom front end, it has a business logic layer built into it, which has honestly been part of the reason why it's been so hard to build functionality into Service Cloud, because they require stars as that interface to tell things how they can happen. So if the customer wants to order another radio, then great, let me, give me the radio ID that you just purchased, so let me add it to your account to activate your subscription. They do that in stars. Service Cloud, it's not as simple as entering a radio ID and sending it via an API call and saying, Bob's your uncle, you're activated. There's a whole sales process and lifecycle process of activating that radio that has to modify your account so you can choose the proper package so that, and then the package that's displayed is not just here are all of our packages, choose one. There's a logic layer that says based off of the 4 radios you already have, we can provide you a package that has a multi-radio discount. So here are the 3 ones that you're available to choose because you also chose this radio, and this radio is restricted and only has access to X, Y, and Z. So there's a lot of business logic built into stars that's some of the reason why they have to go through the stars interface. So if conceptually in the future we want to get them away from utilizing only stars, and having kind of more of a streamlined interface within a single product, something has to take on that business logic, either an API middleware that can handle all that back and forth, or whatever product we put in place has to handle all of that business logic layer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Yeah,
That's exactly where I was going. And the opportunity is that they could, think about the politics of it, because it's their IT organization that we're eliminating the need to support stars in the future, but it is an application that could be one of the areas we would recommend a replacement for.
Well, I mean, they're using VRM for a lot of things that a VRM isn't built for. So they're using it for as their master data accounts and everything else, right? So the householding, the account management, some of the things we talked about early on in the day are things that should be pulled out of.
Right. Yes, Mike. And so with stars, if I was recommending an architecture for them to go forward, it would not be to continue to work on stars as a business logic application and embed it somehow in an iframe inside of desktop. And that we did it because we were where we were. In the future, I would not go there if I was making a recommendation.
Right.
Right. We need a business logic platform that gives them the ability to write and maintain that business logic without necessarily having to maintain it inside of a custom built browser tool.
Well, even Service Cloud could do it, but obviously that's not our
Well,
strategy.
Chris actually made a recommendation on how we would do it. I think for whatever reasons they didn't proceed with it. The reality is that in our next proposal, we would make
Have an opportunity because this is in scope for
There are major business impediments to bringing stars in as a workflow or some other managed flow into the desktop is their perceived need for PCI and the information that is there. And their fear of us storing it in an unsecure manner. Just so you know. PCI takes
I apologize if I'm interrupting someone. It's been hard to hear people in the room on the phone. There's talking going on. I wanted to also point out that it's not only stars that needs to go through this process. So if you think about just the one scenario of like a shopping cart thing that Tracy probably, it's a good example she brings up to me, is you want a shopping cart where a customer, orders a new device and then goes through that structured process. Right now, the business logic to control that shopping cart is within stars. If you want to put it within a servicing desktop that it needs to make use of, that's great. However, you don't want that process to be different than the other 5 places within Sirius XM that is used. So you go to the website, you want to expose that exact same process on the website. That's not a servicing agent desktop thing. So why would Service Cloud build or Service Cloud or wherever build a custom system to handle this? You want to build this external to Service Cloud or Engagement Cloud or whatever the tools the agent is using and make use of it so that everyone else uses the exact same system wherever you're going through these processes to integrate with their backend systems.
A lot of nods in the room, Chris.
All right. So let's move on. Let's assume that the agent has just updated the customer information. Then they would click next and keep continuing to go through the script, right? And they get actions and additional talking points here that they can leverage. And then they can basically finish the interaction, okay? And what happens when they finish the interaction is that they will actually go to what we call upsell script first. This was most recently implemented. So they will see upsells if there are some available. Currently for this particular customer, there aren't any, but if there were actions, then they would display here. Okay? So since there aren't any, we're just going to click next. And it's going to take, go ahead, Tracy.
Sorry, this is Tracy, yeah. Excuse me, I just wanted to point out too, one other thing, in the STARS browser, the Interaction Center. Could you click on that for me? Yep. So this is what has been built as an integration, which will show the customer's past incidents. You can click phone just to see their phone incidents, email, chat, any account mailings that are sent by STARS or any marketing emails that are sent by Sirius XM as well. So if a customer happened to call and say, hey, I got this email to get a 12 months for $12.99, you're not set up for this in this specific scenario, sorry, Renata. But it does an integration with their Fidelis system so that agent can validate, yes, I see you got this promotional mailing, and then they can go on and help the customer.
Tracy, is that
Yep.
off the radio ID or off the customer name?
Fidelis?
It's gonna be off of the customer email address.
Customer email address, okay.
And it will probably also leverage the login name as well, because this is gonna go back and query, Fidelis and look for that information.
Okay.
All right, thanks for not,
All right. Sure, no problem. We do have a radio upsell here now. They have special offers that they can provide, and if the customer is interested, then they can click on anywhere, you know, maybe they want to listen in their house, then, they would continue to go through, this particular flow. Basically it's very scripted, so that the agents basically just have to follow all of the text, right? The offer is accepted, we would click yes. And then they would complete processing the order, and all of that is happening again in stars, right? They would complete the order, and read any disclosures directly from stars. And when they're done, they would click, next or finish. And I think, what's going to happen next is, they would go to the wrap-up page, let's hope. Click next. Doesn't look like it wants to take us to the wrap-up page. Let me go to the beginning and let's try something else. It must not be set up properly. Let's just say they're not interested in adding anything. Also not working, so we'll go to exit. Might need to go down a different flow. Next, let's try another one. Offer accepted, let's click no here. I don't think we're in a good spot here. Somehow it's not set up properly. But anyway, it will take them over to what's called a wrap-up page. That's a whole separate script where they basically show the disposition, the incident, and then when they're all the way done, then they can either restart the workflow from there, or they can finish it and close the incident, and then they're ready for the next call.
Hey Renata, if you want, go up to the top by the calculator on the left side. You should be able to restart workflow with that little button at the very far right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do the restart then.
Yeah, quick question. Do most of the agents use single monitor, or are they dual monitor, and how do they set it up?
I think most of them are dual monitor.
Do you know what they tend to put on either side? What would they end up?
Tracy, I do not know that. No, no. I think on their main monitor, they would probably have this, and on their second monitor, they might have some other browser. I don't know what they would have.
Okay.
They normally have
historically
internal applications, or they actually have the ability to listen to the Sirius XM radio online.
So they don't undock things and kind of move them around. Generally, they kind of keep all the agent stuff in one block.
Correct, in one monitor. Yeah, that's what we're thinking. I'm just going to go quickly through this one on my other browser to see if we can take it all the way through to the end.
The agents don't have an email address. I don't know if that's a problem.
Oops, I was just logged out of STARS. That does happen after inactivity. If I haven't done anything after 15 minutes, agents get logged out for security reasons. So I need to log back in. And there's a counter actually on here. Try that again. Oops, it needs to be capital for agents. Sorry. So now we log in, and as you can see, where is it? We don't have any other customer information in here at this time, but it does count down afterwards. So let me click finish here and see if we can get out. Otherwise, we'll do another simulation. Okay, we have the upsell again. Let's see if this will finish it. Yeah, obviously this is not set up properly. So let's restart workflow and try another one. For general maintenance, this isn't working as expected.
while you're going there, Tracy, what version are they on for ServiceCloud?
They're currently on February 16, 16.2, but their upgrade site was just completed. They're going to 18.2 or 18A.
Thank you.
Yes, this is obviously, and we are working in this system, so, as you can see here, we do have a slight change up here, an upsell, aftermarket upsell was, I guess, completed for this particular one, so it changes up here. And I'm not able to move any, I guess I can move to the other car, see if it'll allow me to finish it now. Is customer interested? I'm just going to say no. No, doesn't allow it. Yes, keeps going. Next, finish. It's just not allowing me to get out at this point. And this is a working system, obviously. This is one of our test sites, so updates must have been made, Tracy, on this particular one, so we're not able to continue here. We would need to start another, we would need to simulate another call, which I can do.
Can you show them like a short call, like somebody called just to get, to know what channel Howard Stern's on, just to show them, how we allowed a shorter way through the system.
Okay. So we'll start another incident.
Hey Tracy, Renata, I think ACS would be on the other monitor, right?
Well, they can access ACS, the Agent Support Center. Give me just 1 second. So I'm going to verify that I am indeed talking to Donald. Okay. And what they have down here, actually, where is ACS? Can I not see that? I guess I'm logged in with, my screen is cut off a little bit. Give me just a second here while I unmaximize it. Down here, we'll be able to see it. So they have a button here. It looks like I don't have it, but there would be an ASC button here for Agent Support Center right here, which launches it. Okay. I'm logged in right now with an admin profile, and I only have SSC down here, but they also have ASC, or they can launch chat, which also launches ASC, because they can chat with the back office support center.
Renata,
I'm not actually set up to do that right
is the e-commerce site? The DTC?
Yes, that's the Akadaka.
Okay.
Yep. It is, and it just basically opens up a separate browser window. Yeah. They also have what's called pop-ups down here, and this is a pricing pop-up. When that's clicked, it's going to pop up pricing, right? So this gets updated frequently, and it's at the agent's fingertips who talk about pricing, and it's down here changes based on the type of packages that they have. Okay, Premier, MST, and this is another customization that we made for them, because this is very important for them to have this at their fingertips.
But it's not, is it contextual? Or is it just a pop-up?
Contextual based on the selections that they make up here.
But not contextual based on what you have open in the agent desktop?
No.
Okay.
Okie dokie, so let's move on. Let me try one other one, a short call. This would be a short call hang up. So, Tracy, why is this going to, if they're on all access trial? Not sure what's going on here. If it was a short call, wouldn't it go straight to the wrap-up?
You have to do a new incident first, because you've got a contact associated. Short call hang up is for if someone calls and they.
Or the unidentified. Okay, let's do another one then.
Don't do
and then like clear out.
Well, you can just clear out the account number.
Oh, okay, got it. I'll do that. Move this over here. Trying to get to the VAD. The VAD bar we have is it autopies So, so I'm going to clear the account number and just simulate here. So now this is what's called an unidentified caller, right? For some reason the system is not able to identify the caller, okay? And they're basically just calling about a quick question, okay? And what I would do then here is say no stars access needed. We didn't identify the person. There's no contact over here in stars. So I'm going to say no stars access needed.
Or you can do ghost call either or.
Either or, yep, I could do that as well. Correct, I think we have the ghost call option again in the context switcher. Okay, so short call, hang up here, or ghost call. Let's say that it's a ghost call. I'm saying, hello, can you hear me? This is Renata with customer support. How can I help you? I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. And they're basically instructed to say, wait 10 seconds. Thank you for contacting, blah, blah, blah. And then this is a test question. Obviously, this wasn't updated, so I can click next here and then finish up the interaction. And this is now going over into what's called the wrap-up script. All of the calls end up in the wrap-up script, okay? So let's say all of a sudden I can hear the person and they say, yeah, this is Renata Perkins, here's my account number. The agent can then enter that account number here, and it'll automatically pull up the account number in stars and they can continue with the information, okay? But if they don't have an account number, they basically just click next. This remains an unidentified call. There are additional items here that get instructions for the agent, and then finally they can say, yep, I'm finished with the call, and they can finish the interaction, or they can restart the workflow. For now, I'm going to finish the interaction just to show you what happens. So the agent can enter some agent notes here, and this is important, these are required. And what happens is if they click submit notes here or next, we are actually sending those notes over to stars. They want the notes that the agents take for each of the customers back into stars. So that's another integration we have. So at the end of oh, go ahead, Tracy.
Sorry, it will also create a private note entry into the service cloud thread as well.
Yep, both. So it'll add the private note, and it automatically submits it over to stars, okay? Some additional information the agent has to finish up here. Was the customer issue resolved? Yes. Call type is phone. That's what basically comes from the context switcher, but I also have to disposition the call. And these are phone dispositions, and I'm basically going to say unable to complete, hang up. Okay? So just select that one, and now I'm able to finish the interaction. One more item on the wrap up, and the additional tasks that were performed. We don't have any, so we'll just click finish. And this closes the incident. It disconnects the call, and they normally wouldn't have these other incidents open. So basically the incident just closed and now they're ready for the next call. Okay?
Hey Renata, one other thing, try to right click and close that tab. I want to show them that there's another customization that does not allow the agents just to close an incident without setting a call type and a disposition. This was a request by Sirius XM. So this tells the agent you have to complete a flow, you have to add a call type and disposition before you can close out that incident.
Yeah, because before we had this, they had lots of agents that just right-clicked to close and didn't finish it, right? So there were lots of incidents that didn't have the wrap-up information that they wanted. The product type set properly, the disposition, the notes. So this is enforcing that they follow the flow all the way through to the end. Okay?
So
Are there any other things we need to point out, Tracy?
For a team, hold on, Renata, for a team concept,
yeah,
right? There's going to be places where we need to challenge their current way of thinking, right? Dave and I were just whispering, and they don't use any of that data that they just force the agent to go through 28 seconds of stuff for, right? So why are they collecting it, right? So in some of these actions, you know, they want to do it, and we may just need to challenge them a little bit as to why, right? So how much money are they spending on a call that never came through for that agent to disposition all of that, and what does it get them that could possibly be automated? Right?
Well, that seems like a pretty easy rule change, no?
Well, they want all the data. I think the other way to do that is that we need to make a recommendation on analytics. It shows them how they're going to use that data to understand where the costs are in their operation. It's their mandate that they want that data. I mean, we've had these discussions with them numerous times about, you're adding 30 seconds of call to collect this data you're not using. Why are you doing it? And they believe that data is valuable. So I think our challenge is, well, I'd say a little differently than Greg did. I think our challenge is you're collecting all this data. We have enabled it for you. Now, how are we going to provide tools for you to use that data and manage your business? I don't want to have a debate with them about whether they should make a decision. They're going to. The question becomes, how would you make it valuable to them? Right now, it's more data than they can analyze because they don't have analytics tools to manage it. 2 points of view.
Yours is much nicer.
He is paid by the word.
Customer number, I'm always right.
Except for when they're wrong.
No, question number one. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep, there was one other thing I wanted to point out, and that's something we most recently did as well, and that's on my other screen here, and that's householding up here. If one of these customer contacts that's calling in is associated with an account that has more than one radio, we have integrated what's called householding to show that this particular account number is associated with 2 radio IDs, okay? So that's what SiriusXM calls householding. And lots of logic was built in. I know Jonathan worked on this one to show what can be done here. We have different IDs that can, different actions that are taken based on these households, right? Or you already have additional radio IDs. Do you want to merge them? Do you want to have, one identified as, being in the home versus the car, whatever. But that's something else we have entered here, okay? We have added most recently.
And the BRD for this is in Oradox. Jim?
Did we kind of follow the same data model that is in the trading community architecture? Do you know?
So the BRD is in Oradox for this. So somewhere out there, and we believe it's in IBM, they have MDM. And this is linking out to that. So I don't know if Renata, you know where it's getting the household information from or what system it's pulling from?
It's a marketing system, actually. This is not STAR. It's their marketing system. Right, Jonathan, you're on, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so it's a separate system, the householding information. Or is part of it coming from STARS as well?
STARS is the front end for the BRM system. I think the householding data is all within the backend BRM system. We get it through basically a call to web services that they've set up for us. But they have their own backend with those web services that do all that logic of saying, okay, we're going to pull from our different sources of data, and we don't necessarily have full visibility into how they build that out. And whenever we talk to them, it kind of sounds like we get little bits and pieces of information of that, sort of glimpses of the bigger picture as we talk to them. But it sounds like there's multiple sources that kind of aggregate everything and then present it all with via the web services.
Yep. So the one thing we haven't talked about yet is Pegasus. I'm actually looking at logging in with a different profile here, so give me just one moment So we can show you the Pega flow as well. I'm going to give that a try here. I just need to go find that particular login, and then I can do that for you. Let me go, we can do this one. Okay, let me try to open this account. Tracy, anything else you can think of? I mean, we do have additional icons up here that we can quickly show. This would be a separate note and scratch pad. This is the same call notes up here that you saw in the incident, okay? And they also have a scratch pad. Sirius XM has a paper and pen-free environment so that nobody can, for security reasons. So if an agent, for example, needs to just keep some notes for themselves here, agent scratch notes, they can do that. These notes do not get saved, and once the agent either clears it or closes out of it, they're gone. Okay? So that's one of the, it's called the floating notepad up here.
Would you put the call notes again real quick for me? Oh, sorry.
Sure.
Can you go back in there?
Yep, no problem.
Do the apply template drop down for me.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So,
Oops, there's
this
nothing
is
in it.
something, well, normally what it does in production, it says name, issue, and resolution. And the agents can type in here while talking to the customer. And if they click the little two pieces of paper out to the right, what this does is it will also add a private note to the incident. So that will add a thread to the incident as well. Just like the agent notes aspect that she showed earlier.
Yep. Tracy, do you want to show anything since we might not need stars anymore? Do you want to take control and show something?
Yeah, I'll go
for the Pega.
Yep. Yes. Do you want to give me?
Yeah,
and I'll go over the agent.
But before you do that, could you show what it would look like if they if they took this offer and upgraded their plan?
Yeah, I'm not able to radio upsell. I can't get out of this. I can't. There's something not quite right here. But we can go through other flows if necessary, Tracy, and you can do that. So we can find another flow that might work. Currently, this is a test site, obviously, so something must have changed here that it's not allowing us to finish. Okay. Let me stop sharing and give this to Tracy.
While you guys are doing this, Dave, the sales agents, they're going up on the desktop. Do they have the exact same desktop, Chris? Did we build something customized for them that may give them different info, or is it essentially the same view?
Support center. Once they're logged in, these are all internal answers. All of these categories, all the different availability that they have to go through. This is all just visible to the actual agents. There's no public access to this. So important notices they try to put up at the top to let them know, the channel preemptions and the takeovers for live sports. If they need to go to any programming, any channel changes that are coming up, any new shows. So these are all answers that their knowledge base team will keep up to date.
Tracy, Greg wants me to remind everyone that this is a completely different team that manages the ASC knowledge base.
Yes. Yes. So there are 3 people who manage their knowledge base. Adam Goldstein, Sean McCormick, and Adrian Moore. They are the 3 that manage the knowledge base as well as the social for their Twitter, all their other social channels that they have as well.
Okay, thanks.
As you can see, they got several tabs up at the top. They have their disclosures, so they can click here and get quick access to all of the disclosures that you should be able to read to the customers. For programming, what this does, it tells them all of the updates for the channels that are coming up. If they click Channel Explorer, this actually opens a new URL to their website that gives all of the different channels that are available to the customers. so they can scroll through and look. They have their OEM tab, which they can look for any of the other partners or information regarding the other brands. For the IED tab, again, this just lists all of the answers that they have available for the agents, and they also have the ability to search for any of the answers as well. They have a troubleshooting tab, which takes them, if this does not pop up, it's because it's their spin site. You can actually try to take this into Internet Explorer. Stay with me 2 seconds. While that's going, I'll just still keep going through. So the coaching corner, those are the coaching tips that they have available for any of the coaches with agents. They have a tip sheet for cancel, purchase, call silence. This My ASC tab actually gives them kind of a few different items. They can do account overview. So if the agent has chatted, so they do have Oracle chat for what we call agent-to-agent chat. So if I'm an agent on the phone with a customer, let's say I can't do something in stars, I don't have an override ability, I can actually chat with a group of agents, they're called support lines, who log into Oracle Service Cloud, log into chat, and then they will assist other agents with any issues. So when they do that, this also creates their incidents forum. They can look at the support history for all of their incidents, any notifications that they may have. They do have an agent desktop feedback form, so these are for any of the agents that say, hey, I was in IED, I was on script 087, I noticed this button didn't work. Here's the process flow I was in and what site I'm with. And then that will submit an incident to the admin team. And then they also just implemented the idea tracker for agents who have ideas for changes. Any automation systems, any policy, sales marketing, customer requests that they can submit that will also go to the SiriusXM admin team as well. And then they just have an ASC help page. This is actually telling them how to use ASC, what they can look for, things that they can do, etc. I did want to go, give me, I'm going to go to Internet Explorer. Let me share. I just wanted to see if I could get this thing to show up. So the thing is, we look at tool that they have, that's a SiriusXM tool for vehicles.
Hey, Renata, somebody doing some pots and pans. Put it on mute while. Yeah, Renata.
You just logged in.
Oh, that's Tracy, sorry.
Actually, Tracy talking right now.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
I'm just trying to get the equipment browser to pop up. Doesn't look like it's going to.
Did they choose Pega before they went with Oracle Service Cloud? Pega been there a long time.
Don't believe so, no. They chose Pega for just specific activity to do the next best offer, to my knowledge.
Yep, and that's basically because we had some issues with offering OPA to them, whereas Denise Stevens just absolutely refused to go with OPA until to never mention it again.
Oh.
So because OPA would have made the most sense, but something happened there that didn't work well.
can't bring it up again and be.
So this was, one other, so this is a browser control kind of within, their end user pages that allows them to look up products, accessories, commercial, consumer electronics, OEM. So this is kind of another integration that they have within their ASC pages.
And why is this not in knowledge directly?
I believe it's because that we've been able to integrate a lot of the specific customer data within it, that they don't need it within IAD and the agent's workflow.
And Tracy, this is what I was talking about with the team yesterday of like one of the top common agent complaints was spin in Heath's assessment last spring of how difficult it is to use.
Does it do something?
The question is, Tracy, like, what's the purpose of spin? What does it do?
So I have not personally used it, and all that I understand about it is that this allows the agent to look up any of the radios. Let's see if I can. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is something that the 360L, the vehicle's capability of what we are currently working on integrating with, will be.
Okay. Thank you.
Tracy, one more thing that we need to show is that they also have another internal team that does intake requests that is working off of the Sirius XM interface as opposed to Sirius XM radio interface. Or do we care about those people for this purpose of our meeting today?
No, I think, mainly focus on the agent, and desktop for, I am gonna, pass this over back to you possibly, Renata. I forgot about the upgrade call. Okay. So I'm just gonna go on mute, but I'll be back.
Okay. The top of our WebEx, and there's a share tab, and then I can share. Anybody can share. So you should see my screen now.
Yep.
I just learned that. Okay. So I'm now logged in with a Pega enabled profile. Let's see if we can get this working. I'm going to click verify again after simulating a call. Came up again. In production, obviously, this is faster. This is a test site, so that's why it's slow. All right, let's do account maintenance again. No, actually, let's not do account maintenance. I'm going to go return to main menu since we haven't had luck with this one. On this site. Let's do cancel service. That's actually what gets the Pega flow going. Anybody who wants to cancel their service. All right, here we have probing questions. Let's do price increase as the reason why I want to cancel the service. So we have several different hints here. Click next. Again, price adjustments, they have more information. And no, I'm not going to accept this. So I want to cancel the service. It just went back to the main menu. I'm not sure what's going on with the site. We might need to do an update on this one to get the proper flow. It doesn't seem like it's working as expected. Broker broken. Let me just try another one. Programming, not listening enough. Let's try this one. This is Pega. So it doesn't look like the integration is properly set up. So we'd have to get this working for you properly before we can show this to you. But you can see that, oops, what happened? I don't think I'm sharing anymore.
No.
Something happened.
I think you dropped out.
Mo is now the.
Let me try again. Let me try
I bet
sharing
Greg
again.
gave Mo privileges.
I think Greg maybe noticed it.
There we go. Okay, that's probably why. Okay, so this is obviously Pega here, but I'm not able to access it at the moment, or there's something Pega's down, I'm not sure. But this is where it would display now. Okay? And then once they're done with Pega, they just click next and go back to the flow, or go back to RevOps, so you can see. Okay? So unfortunately, I don't know if Pega is down or what's going on. We'll have to look into that for you. If we need to have a separate meeting to walk you through it after we've completed our troubleshooting here, we can certainly do that if that's necessary. I'll leave that up to Mo and Greg.
Sure.
Okay. Right, and down here, I am actually logged in more as an agent now, and you can see that the Launch AST button is here now. Which Tracy already showed you. Okay. So I think we've shown you pretty much everything now. Are there any other questions? Anything else we can show you?
Could you go through what it's like to add service or modify somebody's service?
Sure. Let me just do another call then. Simulate another call. Okay. Oops, I'm in the wrong screen, but I guess I can pull this one over. It gets a little confusing because when you do this with a floating VAD, Verizon Agent Desktop Media Bar, sometimes you don't know where you're starting there. If you have several items open, you're not quite sure where, which browser you're logged into. Oops. Let me try this one. Okay. Just click verify. Let's see if this does it. Yep. So I'm in the right window. Going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm sorry, what was the question? What did you want me to show you?
Just being able to add new service or modify somebody's service, like what each of those look like.
Sure. Recently activated. Let me see what might make sense. I think we can account maintenance. We can do it that way. Oh, but we didn't like that one. Programming information. Activation?
Yeah, customer buys a new radio online or whatever and then needs to go set it up with a new plan.
Ah, here it is. Activation. Thank you. Sorry. Mini button. Okay, existing subscriber. So let's assume this is an existing subscriber and they want to add something. They can activate. They can add a radio here. Are there any other active radios on the account? Let's say no. Well, actually, yes, because we already have an account and we want to add something. And then we have the question, there are multiple accounts, we're going to say yes.
So this obviously leads the agent through some of that business logic that, should we be providing them, this customer, with a multi-radio discount, yes or no? So it basically tells them, go look at this, look for this, if you find this, then do this, takes them down that workflow.
Yeah.
They did a big merge process, so a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Sirius XM accounts. They basically, you could have Sirius accounts and you could have XM accounts, and they were completely separate because they were two separate companies. And then as the merging took place, they introduced a whole merging functionality, and it was merging between the companies, but also just amongst themselves. Like I might have an account, and my girlfriend might have an account. Let's merge their accounts. Because things are getting serious. Who knows? So there's now this whole merging process. So that's the workflow and the scripting can be adapted to what the current business processes are. Sirius comes up with a new process they want the CSRs or the agents to go through when they're on a call with the customer in order to help clean up data or promote a new sale or something. There's workflow and scripting updates that they currently do. So it's important to note that workflow and scripting are used, as you can see, as Renata's going through these pages, clicking buttons and yeses and nos, and getting the guidance of what the agent's supposed to be doing. They're really heavily using the scripting. They want that process of pushing an agent through a process, telling them what they need to do, asking them questions so they can go to the right place, etc. So whatever solution is put in front of them will need to have a strong scripting component to it.
Yes. And they've actually tried guided assistance, and the agents did not like it. The agents preferred the scripting. So that's why we're so heavily into the scripting component. Okay. Basically, if they wanted to then make adjustments to their radios, then they would need to make the adjustments here in the radio, right, and add one. And then activate the radio and go through that whole flow. Okay?
Yeah, but
anything else you wanted to?
Well, that's what I was hoping to see.
Let me try that again. Let me do a simulated call again. Let me try this one. Okay. Okay, simulating over here. And I can actually try to log into UAT as well. It's where they do their testing to see if that might work better. Verify. Okay, so activation. So we can't show an actual activation. That's a separate system, I think, that they have to access. Let's try a new customer. Retrieve the radio ID. I guess they get that from the customer. So let's say they found the radio ID. Is radio active on account? No.
So at the same time,
the customer's account is a star. Yeah.
They would be on the left side going through the stars process. So they will be doing side-by-side things. They would use you'll see there's a VIN lookup, for example, on the left-hand side. Like that's how they can look up the radio ID by the VIN of the car. And there's multiple ways to find a radio. There's new device lookups. So this is where if they need to find the radio, like the customer can't find the radio ID for some reason, so they need to look up based on, well, what's your car? Give me the VIN on your car, and I can look up the radio ID from that. So it gives them some hints about how to find the radio ID. But at the end of the day, they get that information, and then it's a side-by-side thing. And that's one of the pain points, obviously, is the fact that it tells them what to do on the right side, and then they do it on the left side. And once they're done doing it on the left side, they go back to the right side and say, okay, I'm done, or yes, I found it, or no, I didn't. So they obviously,
and obviously I don't have access to it. Yep, the VIN lookup, obviously, yeah. So, yep, they would do everything here. But I didn't realize that was a pain point for them to do it in both sides. I thought that was...
So here's really like my understanding is it's 1,000,000 times better than it was before. But if they could do it all at once, if it could be enter the radio ID and they type in the radio ID and it goes and does that stuff. If they didn't have to have the scripting, if stars or whatever their system was walked the CSR through the agent through that process at the same time as it was showing them that information, then why go back and forth if they could have a beautiful single stop shop system that one.
But that's a lot to ask of one system. I don't know too many that can do everything. But anyway, that's beside the point.
No, you're absolutely right, but that's what they're asking for. And we've proposed that solution to them, but that gets back to the whole stars it has that orchestration layer built into it. It has that business logic built into it. So if we were to give them a one-stop shop, they would need to expose all of that to Service Cloud so we could build a single connection, a single kind of UI to it. And they weren't prepared at an IT level to expose that.
I see. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of side-by-side information going on here, as Chris pointed out. There are links here that I'm not able to access because we have limited access to their system. We're lucky that we can access their test stars account. We do not have access to their production stars account at all. So, yeah, this is the best we can do. Trial, yes. And then I think we're finished. The trial is in your features all access and so on and so forth. So they're eligible, more information about the trial. And then they go into the pricing. If the offer is not accepted, if it's too much, then I think they can adjust it a little bit. They can offer additional items. Offer still not accepted. Keep going, right? So they basically do a sales call here and say, I do accept it now. Then I can get out of it now. Pay now, they can bill later. If they wanted to add an additional account, go into the payments flow. You can do invoice. And then additional, this is verbatim. They have to, anything in yellow is verbatim that they have to say. And we keep going. Can you ask if they can activate the radio now? If they click yes, customer is there. Bluetooth connected, yes. So every step of the way, they walk through it. And then they send the signal and the refresh instructions. They can get texted, so you can text that to them. Go to stars and capture the mobile number, and then read this text message, and then we're going to finish. And now the radio is activated, and we go back to we can upsell, but there isn't any upsell because this is just a new customer. That's based on some logic, and we end up in the wrap-up page again. And I'll say that I'm finished. Enter my notes. Submit my notes and go all the way through the process. Okay, are there any other questions? So I would select request complete here and click next to finish the call. Finish. And now this particular incident is going to close. And I'm done with my call. Okay? Are there any other items we can show you?
I'm good.
Good, okay.
So,
Can we,
Hey, sorry, hey Renee, it's Dennis. Is it worth taking kind of a tour through the customer portal functionality they use?